A buzz on you, my favorite song is playing in a Broadway bar. Then you walk in, you're all alone, the hottest in the room by far. And you look up and our eyes lock and my heart falls straight out of my...
All right. Welcome back. It is the Built by Vitality podcast. On today's episode, we have Jessica back with us.
That's what, third time she's been on here with us, right?
Yeah, third time.
I actually like her a little more than you.
10-4. I do too.
Philip now has the camera running from inside his own office, so we'll see what the angle looks like. But as always, I am next to Philip Lewis, and we are going to talk about the Nutrition Challenge. This is the 12th annual Nutrition Challenge.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. It is. It's morphed into something pretty cool, and you know, a lot of people have been doing this forever. You know, since we've got people that have done it for a decade. But this year will be a little different, and we'll let Jess kind of talk about this. So, if you are somebody that is thinking about doing something with nutrition, I personally think this is probably your best bet at getting some results. There's a lot of madness out there. I've heard Weight Watchers. Philip has been on that for a while, trying to bulk up. I don't think it's working because he's still about 155.
That's good.
But there's some solutions out there, but I think this is a much easier to understand. Is it 6 or 8 weeks this time?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. So I will let Jess talk about a little bit about this, and I'm sure Philip will have some nuggets to contribute to this.
I got this.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, so it's that time of year. You know, we're all getting ready for the holidays, and January is always the best time to kind of have a detox, and everybody's kind of focusing on what their goals are going to be for the new year. I don't even like to call them resolutions.
I hate resolutions, but continue.
I know. So the challenge is not meant to be like a resolution. It's meant to help us develop healthy lifestyles that we are going to incorporate not only for the 6 weeks while the challenge is going on, but for the whole year. And this year, I really wanted to take it back to the basics. It's not specifically a paleo challenge. It's not a ketogenic diet challenge. It is just developing healthy habits. So I want to kind of break down each one of those habits and why I chose them. I mean, there could have been so many more things I added to this, but I didn't want to, detour people from like really wanting to sign up and try it. But I think it's also a challenge. So it is going to be challenging to do these things for 6 weeks and onward. But by the end of the 6 weeks, my goal is that they will become habits. So
and I think it has to be, and I think that's where the rub is with most of the stuff that I see is they make it either so simple that it doesn't make sense, you're not going to see any adaptation, or they make it so complex that it sets people up for failure. So I think I've looked at this list and I've bounced it off me, and I think they're all very doable, very relevant tasks that you're asking people to try and, behavioral changes you're asking people to change.
Yes, me too. So the first three I think are critical, and I think anybody can benefit. Whether you're a seasoned athlete who thinks they've got their macros dialed in, to a beginner, to someone who doesn't even know what a carbohydrate is. I mean, this is meant for anyone. Your great grandmother, anybody could do this and benefit from cutting out added sugars, vegetable oils, and alcohol. So those three things, I know it's challenging.
How do you feel about that, Phil? Could you do that?
I already do that, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All three.
Mm-hmm.
So
awesome.
no added sugar.
Right.
No vegetable oil.
Right.
And
no alcohol.
No alcohol. Those three.
So yes.
Those are the big ones.
Let me tell you first, it's not going to be easy. So 70% of the items in the grocery store contain added sugar. 70%. So you're going to have to do some digging. Again, sticking to real whole foods is going to be the easiest way to go. Something that doesn't even have a nutrition label on it, because most things have added sugar. Now, we're not talking about eliminating all sugar, like the natural sugar occurring in fruit or like milk products like yogurt. Lactose sugar is natural. We're talking about the added sugar. So the sugar that companies add to their products to make them more tasty, more addictive. That is going to be on the nutrition label now. It's mandated to be on. So there's an extra little slot there that'll say sugars and then added sugars right under it. We want to find products that have no added sugar. It won't be easy, but very beneficial, because we found one thing that's really interesting. I was just reading that blood sugar is the biggest predictor of how severe our reaction to COVID will be. So people over this past 18 months, the people that have had the worst reactions to COVID are those who have high blood sugar levels. So how do we lower blood sugar levels? We, don't have as much sugar in our diet. So that's a huge step just for overall health, for reversing chronic disease. Sugar is just not good for anybody.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our government for deciding not to tell us that. Mm-hmm. Let's not focus on anything positive and say, hey guys, just so you know, the added sugar's pretty important.
Yeah.
Nah, let's leave that out.
Yeah,
let's let them figure that out on their own. Mm-hmm. That's unbelievable. But I digress, Jess.
Yeah,
That's frustrating to me. That's extremely frustrating, because that is like vitamin D, that is a very actionable thing that people could take right. The fear that everybody has with this is the perfect time for a change, because what puts people in the mindset of change? Most of the time, it's fear. Why does someone start working out all of a sudden? Because maybe they had a heart attack, maybe they got injured, maybe something happened, maybe the doctor told them that they're not going to be able to live that much longer. All of a sudden now they're scared, so they're willing to sacrifice the taste of food. But now would have been a great time for the government to say, hey, guess what? If we can eliminate sugar, these added sugars, or moderate this in some ways, we could really have an impact on how severe these cases are. But instead, they chose not to. Continue, Jess.
They gave away free donuts.
Yep.
Oh, don't even.
Oh, God, sorry. Yeah. Go ahead, Jess.
Don't get them into that.
My goodness.
Yeah, so no donuts during the challenge. Second thing, no vegetable oils. And this is one I'll definitely have to explain more about in the seminar, because I could go on and on about this. But vegetable oils, you'd think that they're healthy. They have the word vegetable in them, which is very deceiving. So a vegetable oil is just any oil that comes from a seed. So it's not healthy for you, because when you extract oil from a seed, it has to be subjected to very high temperatures and lots of chemicals. And in that process, that oil is rendered toxic. So when we take it into our body, it forms these toxic aldehydes, which produce inflammation, and chronic inflammation is what's at the root cause of all of our issues, really, basically. So we get inflammation from added sugar, we get inflammation from these vegetable oils, and they are everywhere. So vegetable oils, I would argue, are just as common, probably in 75 to 80% of products that are in grocery stores. So you're going to have to be very careful at looking at labels, and any salad dressing, any mayonnaise, any restaurant you go to, the oil that they fry with or cook in is going to be vegetable oil, whether it's canola oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, corn oil. Those are all classified under that category of a vegetable oil, and it's very toxic in the body. So,
and that's driven by cost at these restaurants? Is that what?
Yes, because they're subsidized by the government. So soy, which is the soybean oil, and then corn oil, they're very cheap. So that's why the salad dressings, everything is going to be based in those. So at home, if you can do olive oil or avocado oil-based salad dressings and mayo, if you can cook with either butter or avocado oil or olive oil, those are going to be the best options. So that's going to be a hard one. I don't want to tell people you can't eat out during the challenge, but if you do eat out, you're going to have to, avoid the dressings that they're using, maybe bring your own with you, or like instead of mayo, getting mustard on a sandwich or something like that to avoid those.
Do you think it's tough for people that go out to eat a lot? You could really make some good choices with what you eat, but if they're cooking in vegetable oils, can you outrun that by making good choices, or does that kind of cancel out all the good choices? If I go and get a lean steak and some broccoli and whatever else, if they're cooking that stuff in vegetable oil, I could eat out healthy 3 times a week and still see some pretty big.
You're still going to be inflamed
Yeah.
and have that chronic inflammation in your body. You may not notice it right away, but over time, things just don't work as smoothly as if you're not. And people who are dialed in, like at different points, we've been very dialed in with our diet and going out to eat, even if we do steak, vegetable, a salad, but the salad has the dressing on it. It's all cooked in that. We don't feel great the next day. I mean, you can feel off, and that's why. So that'll be tough, but I think it'll be very beneficial. 6 weeks, no vegetable oils. And then no alcohol. So, I mean, that speaks for itself. We know alcohol is a toxin in the body. It has the first oxidative priority, meaning that your body is going to get rid of the most toxic thing first. So it has to stop all fat burning to metabolize through that alcohol before it can go back to any fat burning. Alcohol also has over almost twice as many calories as sugar itself. So 4 calories per gram of sugar and 7 calories per gram of alcohol. So people will say, well, I still choose a no carb mixer or a no sugar mixer, but the calories itself in the alcohol and the toxicity of it to the liver is really what's doing the harm. Anyone who's, worried about their performance in the gym, I mean, it decreases testosterone production, human growth hormone production, and it decreases our physical performance by 40%. So it really is just not a good thing for anyone. It's also going to, affect our food choices. When you have a few drinks, those carb-heavy French fries or mac and cheese look a lot more tasty and tempting.
A couple beers and some hot wings. Yeah, that's what you want.
And I think the way I would look at this is, when you're off the challenge, we talk about alcohol. I think if you have alcohol and it's in a situation to where you're celebrating something or you're with people you really enjoy being around, and it's because if you're having a good time, I can wrap my head around that a little more than if you're using alcohol as a driver for your stress. You're trying to
unwind.
You're trying to unwind, or you're trying to use it because you want to not feel stressed out or anxious. Then I think Then I think that's a big issue. So I think you just have to take a big step back and say, okay, can I give this up for 6 weeks? If you can't, then that's a problem. And then what does this look like moving forward? Can I only do this in situations where it's celebratory or I'm doing something I enjoy and not falling in the trap of
that glass of
therapeutic
wine every night? Yeah, to
it can't be for therapeutic
This is a
reasons.
downer, right? So when people get home, they do it after work, and they just this is a relax.
And I think one drink leads to 2, and then 2 a night doesn't even dent you anymore. You're like, man, I don't even feel it. I was talking to Blaine the other day in the kitchen. He was talking about caffeine. And he's like, man, I really need to cut down my caffeine because I can do 2 of these. What were those drinks in there that were in there?
The Monsters or the Reigns or something.
The Reigns or whatever. I can do 2 of those. And he's like, I can't even feel a thing.
Gosh.
I drink one of those Ahas with 35 milligrams of sodium or caffeine, and I'm like ready to go squat the world. So your sensitivity to things kind of gets limited. So I think when it comes to alcohol, that's some of the pushback you're going to get is, oh, well, I only do X. Cool. Stop it for 6 weeks. Prove to yourself you can, and we should be able to very easily. And there's some people that can't, and we need to identify that as a problem. That's an addiction if you can't stop something for 6 weeks that's tied to your health. So I think that's a good one, and I hope people understand how important that one is.
Yeah, for sure. And then along with that, the water intake is going to be really important. So my goal is for everyone to have half of their body weight in ounces of water per day. And that's not fluid per day. It's water itself. Good old H2O. It can be carbonated water if you like a LaCroix or a Perrier, but definitely just water. Not coffee is not included. That's actually a diuretic. It's got to be water. And studies show that 75% of Americans are dehydrated, like chronically dehydrated. And we don't realize that can cause like general fatigue, irritability, just not performing optimally, especially in any physical activity that you have. So we may not even know that we're dehydrated. We may just feel tired all the time. And just doing this can correct that. Every cell, tissue, and organ in our body needs appropriate amounts of water to function properly. So this is just kind of like an easy no-brainer. It's also going to help us kind of detox our system. It's going to help us avoid things like soda and juice because we're going to have to get this amount in, so we're not probably going to want to drink more liquids. So what do you guys think about that one?
It's weird. People are hard. It's hard for people to stop drinking soda and stuff. They're always used to it because it just tastes really good.
Yeah.
But after meeting with you and doing certain things and doing challenge type stuff, I don't even like it no more. I think a couple weeks ago I went somewhere and tried to get a Sprite and it tasted terrible. I can taste how fake it is and like full of stuff. And I just dumped it out and got water. Like I could tell a difference.
Yeah.
Like there's no. Once you stop and then you try it, you're like, man, this is actually pretty terrible.
Yeah.
It's a big
That's
difference.
awesome that you felt that, yeah.
I think there's only two things I would add to this, and I would say that the easiest way to do this would be as soon as you get out of bed in the morning is to drink as much water as you can. So I have a little shaker bottle shaker cup next to my sink. I'll fill it maybe 15 ounces worth of water, and I'll drink it right away. Now you're starting your day. You're already 15 ounces into it. And I try very hard. I would try to get that water, most of your water intake before 4 or 5 o'clock, just because it's going to keep you from, my old man's. Now he's not a young buck anymore, but I think he goes to the bathroom like 18 times a night, and some of it might be that he's consuming water mixed with some alcohol later in the evening, 7, 8, 8:30 o'clock, 8:30 at night. And it's going to force him when he does that. I'm like, you can't be surprised when you get up 4 times in the night because you're drinking so late. So if you can move some of that intake to before dinner and have a little bit of water with dinner or something with dinner, it'll be much easier for you to sleep through the night or only get up once or twice.
Right.
So.
And this is just a general recommendation, guys. Like ideally your water intake would be based on like the climate that you're living in, your body size and weight, your activity level. But this is just kind of like a blanket that's going to help you. That's a minimum. So if you're working out, you could add to that. I mean, if you're thirsty past the half of your body weight in ounces, please drink all the water you can handle.
Fill up with a couple hours of jiu-jitsu. You might need about 3 times your body weight in ounces.
It's awful.
That's why Steve and I get along so well because he very rarely uses the AC, and I'm like, gosh, we were meant for each other. He's got that thing just cooking over there in the summertime.
It's terrible.
So, anyway. All right, so what's after the water?
So, okay, after water, we're going to talk about how I want you to fill your plate. And the next one is having protein with each meal. This is really important. I want you to center your plate on protein. It should be the first thing you think about. And why is protein so valuable? Well, it is the building blocks of our muscle and tissue. And really, as we age, it's our health pension. Like that is what's going to allow us to get down on the ground and get up with our grandchildren. It's going to allow us to have functional fitness as we age. And if we don't get enough protein, we won't have the muscle mass. It will continue to dwindle. So yes, we need to add some resistance training here and there, but the adequate protein is so important. Protein also has the highest thermic effect of food, which means you're burning more calories to digest protein than you are to digest carbs or fats. So if you're trying to lose weight, which most people are in the new year, protein is going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. 35% of the calories that you take in through protein are used to digest it. So that's a little bang for your buck there.
35%? That's interesting.
Well, but it's between 25 and 35, yeah.
Wow.
So as a general rule of thumb, ladies, you want to be about 4 to 5 ounces of protein with each meal, which would be like a little bit bigger than a palm-sized portion. Guys are going to be between 5 and 8 ounces per meal, so probably like your whole hand-sized portion.
You can use my hand.
I can use 2 hands.
No, you can use mine.
So whether it's like a chicken breast,
Any
burger,
females out there that want to measure their food, just ask Philip. He'll give you a hand size. Go ahead, Jess.
Guys.
Sorry.
Poor Philip. How do you take this?
It's all right. I'll save it for the mat and jiu-jitsu.
Yes, you
I'll
take
just
it
keep
out
it
on
in
him.
there and I'll wait till the next time.
Yeah. Mental note.
So I don't even know what I was
So
saying.
Protein hand.
Okay, so the
protein.
size of protein. Yeah, so women are generally going to need a little bit less, men are going to need a little bit more, but it can be a chicken breast, it could be a burger patty, it could be steak, it could be salmon, it could be eggs, it could be a protein powder or shake. I really like a whey protein if you're in a hurry or in a bind, but always make sure you have some protein. Protein also blunts blood sugar response. So you probably saw this when you wore your continuous glucose monitor. I know I did. But if you eat a meal that's just carbs, we call it naked carbs, like just an apple, your blood sugar is going to rise a lot quicker and higher than if you ate an apple with like some deli meat roll-ups or a chicken breast or something. And also the timing, like if you ate the apple first and then the chicken breast, you're going to have a higher spike. If you eat the chicken breast first and then the apple, it blunts it better. So always pairing a carb source with a protein is going to be really beneficial for blood sugar.
And that's by far the hardest thing too. To if you don't have protein prepared, it's really hard to do that. You know, I got home last night and I didn't have any protein. I didn't have it.
Who ate all your chicken?
My wife ate all my chicken. And if you don't have that, if you don't
That's
have a
the
plan for that,
hardest part. It takes the longest.
Our lunch meat was out. I didn't cook enough, grass-fed beef. So it's not easy if you don't have that prepared. What are you going to do? Cook a raw chicken breast? It's going to take you 15, 20 minutes. You know what I mean? So you really have to lean forward on the protein part of this and have that type of stuff ready to go, because that's where that's what the hardest part. If you don't have it ready, you just won't eat it.
Because if that's ready, it's easy to throw like the steamed vegetables or something in the microwave, and it's way more simple.
You've always been good at that, Philip.
That's way
prepping
easier,
your meals, giving, either putting it on the grill, getting it grilled, or even putting it on the stovetop. I mean, I was going to put meal prep as another one of the habits, but I'm like, this is getting too much.
Yeah.
But I
just makes it easier.
Yes, I think everyone should adopt a day or 2 days a week where they're grocery shopping and at least prepping the proteins. That's such an important point.
So if I have a palm size or hand size amount of protein, what do I put on my plate next?
So that's the next goal, which is going to be to have vegetables with at least 2 of your meals a day. So 3 would be awesome. If you have 4 meals a day, 4 would be awesome. I'd love to have vegetables with every meal, but 2 is our goal. 2 or more. So definitely you can fill your plate with vegetables. I mean, this can be everything from the higher glycemic index vegetables like potatoes and sweet potatoes, or the lower glycemic index like broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus, salads. Vegetables are going to be great for this plan. They're high in fiber. They have vitamins and minerals, and they are very filling. So they're going to help to fill you up. Think that's doable?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Jess will eat steamed Brussels sprouts or pretty much Brussels sprouts every night.
Yeah. Steam in the bag. It's the way to go. 5 minutes in the microwave.
Me and the girls are like, oh my gosh, it's Brussels sprouts again. And we're like, she's not going to eat those.
I've had those once, and it wasn't my favorite.
Not your favorite. No.
And I think whoever cooked them, they had like legit got fresh cut, did whatever, put them in the oven, put stuff on them, and I was like, I'll take some broccoli or some green beans or something.
The lady at the checkout at Harris Teeter, she laughs at me every time because inevitably once a month I'll go there and Jess will be like, hey, get me some bags of Brussels sprouts, and I'll get like 13 frozen bags of Brussels sprouts. She's like, oh, you really like Brussels sprouts? And I'm like, I hate them. She's like, well, who are those for? I said, my wife.
I'm not kidding. The steam in the bag is the way to go, guys. It doesn't have to be Brussels sprouts, but they have cauliflower rice that's already riced up. They have, broccoli, asparagus, all different types. The zoodles, yes, all different things. So if you don't have time to put them in the oven and roast them and, put all the different seasonings on them, this does not have to be fancy, guys. It just has to be doable. So definitely get those steam in the bag vegetables. You'll be able to hit that goal.
And the point is, find what works for you. Jess found that the Brussels sprouts work. She likes them. So why go away from that? Why try and reinvent the wheel? For me, I've got my meal prep down. I don't need to change it because I'm bored. The purpose of this food is, it tastes good to me, but it also it fits what I'm looking for. So once you figure it out, don't make this harder than it has to be. Find something that you like and just get a ton of it.
I really like broccoli. I think we had found out. I was like, man, just the meal plan's going great, but I look pregnant. I look a little swole. Even people in the gym there was like, Philip, you I said, I don't know what it is. I'm following Jess's plan. And I told her, she said, what are you eating? And I was eating all this fresh broccoli. And it was just in there fermenting every meal. I said, but when I switched to the in the bag, the frozen, it don't do it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's raw. The
it
raw
was weird. The other one, it was
tough.
just still growing. I don't know what it was doing, but I was swelling up.
I know. You told me how much broccoli you were eating. I was like,
It was a lot.
Man.
Maybe I need to have 2 vegetables.
Yeah, it's very up there veggie a little bit. And then the last one, incorporating diet or around our diet, is I'd love to have everybody do a 12-hour fast from their last bite to eat or caloric intake in the evening to their first caloric intake in the morning. Okay, so only 10% of Americans actually do that.
That's insane.
90% of Americans eat in more than a 12-hour feeding window because they're snacking into the night, they're getting up in the night and having something, or they're eating first thing in the morning.
And that goes with sleep too, I think, right?
Oh,
so if you
huge.
say you got 7 or 8 hours of quality sleep out of that 12, it's not going to be hard to do that 12-hour fast, but most people are getting 4 hours or maybe 5. They're staying up snacking, so then they're like, that's crazy, I can't do that.
Yeah, and it affects your circadian rhythm. So our circadian rhythm is designed so that our metabolism works best to process food in the daytime hours, and the nighttime is meant for fasting. So if you go back to the continuous glucose monitor, you would find that you can eat the same thing in the morning or midday and barely have a blood sugar response, but eating it at night or right before bed, for me, I found that all the time. I would have a much larger blood sugar response because our bodies just aren't meant to be processing and metabolizing. It's affecting our quality of sleep. We're not sleeping as well when we eat right before bed. We're usually snacking on things at night that are not the best thing. So it's going to alleviate that after dinner snacking, which just is mindless eating. So I think that'll help a lot of people there. And research shows that people who consistently eat in a 12-hour feeding window or less have less chronic disease, have higher longevity, so they live longer. And people who eat, especially during the night, are more prone to diabetes and obesity. So, these are things we can easily correct with just putting that limit on. Okay, I've had my dinner or my snack after dinner. I'm starting my clock. 12 hours from now, I can have breakfast. And that includes calories. Like you might say, well, I'm just going to have my coffee, but then you put cream and something in your coffee. Well, that's calories. So you can't even have that. You could have black coffee because there's no calories there. You could have that before the 12 hours, but nothing that has calories. Same thing with drinks. You don't want to drink late into the night either. So if there's calories there, water, of course, would be fine.
I think one thing that we see a lot of, it's almost a generational thing. Our parents' generation, they ate so late. They ate dinner so late for some reason. I don't know where that came from. I'm sure there's a smart person out there that will tell me where that started. But there's no need to eat at 7 or 7:30 at night. You're just setting yourself up for failure when you eat at 7:30 at night. Man, you are going to be pretty worthless as soon as you finish eating. You're going to probably sit down on the couch, and now you're going to get to bed a little bit later because you eat dinner at 7:30. Then now you got to start putting kids to bed if you got kids. Now you're starting that process at 8:30, 8:45. You finally get the little rascals asleep. It's 9 o'clock, 9:15 when they leave you alone, and you're like, okay, well I just need some quiet. Before you know it, it's 9:45, 10 o'clock, and now you start getting ready for bed at 10. You're not actually asleep until 11. If you could just push everything back and eat at 5:30 or even 6. It just opens everything up. Maybe you go for a walk after dinner. Maybe things just start to feel a little bit different when you don't have a full stomach when you lay down in your bed at night. So I think that's this is a big one for and look, you eat at 6, you can eat again at 6 a.m. Most people aren't going to do that anyway. Even if your last bite was at 7. That's 7 a.m. You can't hold off until 7 a.m. for breakfast. This should be something that we can focus on and make some progress with. I think
a lot of that goes with, like you said, you wouldn't really bring it up meal prep, but people are really busy, family, kids, whatever. They're rushing around doing stuff, and if they're not meal prepped or have a protein ready when they get home, say they get home at 5 or 5:30, then they have to make it. Yeah. Everybody's probably wanting different things to eat in the family. Then they didn't eat till 7. and then it does that
Yeah.
process. But if they had it ready, they could just heat up the sides or whatever.
It's ready to
Yeah.
go.
So
Yeah.
you'll talk about all this stuff at the seminar?
Yes, but there's one more.
Oh, there's another one.
Another important one. And this is at least 30 minutes of exercise a day.
Oh,
So
love
this
it.
doesn't have to do with diet, but it's just something blanket statement. Everybody should do this. It doesn't mean it has to be high intensity interval training or Olympic lifting. I'm talking walking, like basic stuff. You could even, it doesn't have to be one chunk. You could do 3 10-minute walks after each meal. You could do 2 15-minute walks. You could do a 15-minute workout and a 15-minute walk later on in the day. Anybody can do this. Your grandmother, your sibling, anybody across the country can do it, because I'm going to put everything online. They'll be able to watch the seminar, the Facebook group, which is the most valuable part of this challenge. That's where I'll be including all the motivation and support and recipes and ideas.
And they'll be able to ask you questions on that Facebook
Yes,
page?
that's where that you can communicate with me. I'll be there to answer questions and just support everyone along the way. So really, if you have a family member or a friend, it doesn't have to be a Vitality member, just anyone that could benefit from developing some healthy habits to start off the year. This would be a great challenge for them.
And the Facebook group is interesting because a lot of times Jess will hear or will hear that, I'm just not creative enough in the kitchen. I don't understand what I could be eating. This is the best of both worlds, because now you get to see what everybody else is doing. And there's some really creative people out there that will say, hey, I just made this. It was amazing. They post the recipe and the pictures. And now you've got all the answers right there. You just got to copy it. And so I think the Facebook group, having people to listen to and to see some of the challenges that everybody else has along with yourself is good. And where else you're going to get someone that is going to answer those questions? Because trust me, I've said this before, I'm laying in bed at 8:15 ready to go to bed, and Jess is on their doggone phone answering Facebook messages. And I'm like, hey, it can wait till tomorrow. The big guy's got to get some sleep, So
I can't let people go to sleep wondering and having
yep.
questions.
So I promise you,
If
they're
she don't
getting,
answer
they're
that
getting
question,
answered.
what if they go to the kitchen and be like, well, Jess didn't respond, so
Yeah.
I'm going to eat some brownies.
Well, I'm going to start responding. Kitchen's closed at 7.
You should be fasting.
I'll put that on the new updated flyer. Don't message Jess after 7.
Or it gets forwarded to Steve's phone.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
What is the date of the seminar?
So the seminar is Tuesday the 28th, 7 p.m. in our upstairs conference room at Vitality. Philip will record it. He'll probably have that up the next day online to put up, so anybody who you're not able to make it in person, you can always watch the seminar online. And then the challenge starts on January 3rd. So Monday, January 3rd, right after the new year. If you're doing the challenge in person, then you're going to come in and do an in-body scan on either the 3rd or 4th. So those are our 2 weigh-in days. We'll have a link where you can schedule a time. It's just a 5-minute chunk of your time. You don't want to have food or caffeine for about 2 hours prior, so that scan is pretty accurate. And then we're going to do the same thing at the end of the challenge. So we'll see how your body composition changes after developing these habits for 6 weeks. So it's just a great way to kick off the year. It's a great community of people that are doing it together, supporting each other, showing you that it can be done, because we are the minority. There aren't many people that are doing this at all, and we're going to, just start the year off on a good note. So I'm hoping to get as many people as possible. Like I said, both Vitality members and non-members. Any other?
No, I think this is great. I think this is something that people, they like the community part of working out. Well, this is a community part of get your nutrition dialed in. And believe me, there's going to be excuses for everybody that says, oh, well, I would do it, but I can't because my kids. Let me tell you something. This will be as important for your kids to see some of these habits that you're forming that will directly impact the habits that they create for themselves. Because if you're not doing it, they're not going to do it. If you're not eating vegetables, what kid's going to be like, hey, Mom, I need to have my vegetables tonight. Can I sub this potato chips and Doritos for the Brussels sprouts? No one's saying that. And your kids are going to fight it. But guess what? You know what fixes that? Being hungry. Okay?
Yeah.
And you can either become a short order cook and make 16 different things for all your kids and all of your family, or you can say, hey, this is what's for dinner. This is the best option we've got. This is what our bodies need. And if you don't want to eat it, I'm good with that.
You just have a longer fast.
You're just going to start fasting earlier.
Yeah, you have a 16-hour fast.
So I think that, and you think that, believe me when I tell you, just because Jess and I eat healthy does not mean that our kids love to eat healthy at all. They don't.
Yeah.
It's a fight. It's a battle, but hunger wins. And when you're hungry, you'll eat just about anything. So if it's a matter of them not liking Brussels sprouts and that's what's for dinner, guess what? Tomorrow night with a 24-hour fast, I bet you they'll love Brussels sprouts. So you put your foot down now or you will create monsters later on. So I think it's great. I'm excited to see how many Jess has. I know that I will sacrifice my sleep for the next 6 weeks once it starts because we won't be getting in the bed as early as we normally do, which is great for me. So I'll be ornery, which will impact you directly. But no, we'll post the dates of the seminar. We'll post everything that you need relevant to this in the show notes here on our YouTube channel. Make sure you check this out and make sure to watch the presentation and email it to somebody. Email it to your parents. Email it to someone that you think could benefit from it because you never know. Someone might just be looking for a reason to do this. They just don't have anybody to help guide them in the right direction. This might be the motivation that they need to make this change. And I can't tell you the amount of people that have done this challenge and had incredible results and really changed the way that they function now. I mean, their life has changed because they now realize the role that nutrition plays in their overall health. Anything else?
That's it.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, this is a Built by Vitality podcast.